Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to our series on planning and administering Microsoft Azure for SAP workloads. In this series, we try to understand how we can use the power of Azure to elevate the power of SAP. Why is this important to know and who does this affect? Well, as you know, as more and more businesses are moving towards cloud-based solutions, the integration of SAP workload with Microsoft Azure is becoming increasingly important. This series may be helpful to architects, engineers who are planning or are in the middle of an implementation of migration of SAP landscape into Azure. We'll try to cover both greenfield, which is plain vanilla implementation, as well as brownfield, where some part of the estate already exists in the cloud. Welcome to my channel, Certheads. I'm Raj. I'll take you through this journey, which I have recently undertook in order to clear this SAP on Azure certification, AZ-120. Some background about me: I am a Microsoft certified trainer. I have an industry exposure on Azure and deployment of SAP on Azure. Well, I'm not a person with an SAP background, though whatever I have learned with experience and study. I'll try to impart that knowledge via these video series. Now, in order to clear the certification, you don't really need to be a SAP person, but it helps if you have some background about SAP, because SAP is a bit different and it's like kind of a old mainframe sort of a system. So it will help if you have some idea about SAP. I'll try to give as much as I can, but yeah, it would really help. And I would also love to hear from you how I am doing and how I can improve. So do let me know in the comment section your views on these set of videos which I am going to create. Enough banter about me. Let me take a sneak peek on what we will be learning at a high level. Let's start this journey with our little red car. My aim is to cover all the fundamental principles, including the questions and answers, to assist you in preparing for the certification exam on this subject. We'll see how we can leverage the power of Azure for SAP. I want to share all the learnings with you, which I have gathered from various sources in order to prepare for the exam. I would also take up some topics around infra as code and GitHub, wherever relevant, to give you a balance of theoretical as well as practical exposure on this topic. Again, we are going to target the certification AZ-120 Azure for SAP workloads speciality. Now let's understand how this certification is structured. Now, if you've never taken a Microsoft exam, let me tell you that there are various elements in the exam and there are various weightages. It is important to understand how these are weighed. You can see migrate SAP workloads on Azure is 10 to 15%, design Azure solutions to support SAP 20 to 25%, build and deploy 35 to 40%, and validate Azure infrastructure 10 to 50%. Operationalize Azure for SAP architecture 10 to 15%. So it's important to understand these weightages, since the questions around the exam would be based around these broad topics. So as you can see from all these topics, the operationalization of Azure infra, migration, validation is 10 to 15%. The major weightage is being carried around by build and deploy, which is 20 to 25%, and designing Azure solutions for SAP, which is 35 to 40%. This certification may be helpful to the people who have some SAP background to understand Azure part of the world, and also the people with good Azure experience who want to have a little bit better understanding of SAP side of the world, as I already clarified. Now, how is this course structured? Now, we are going to tackle the topics in the following order: SAP on Azure VM workloads, Identity and governance for SAP on Azure, deploying SAP on Azure, how we can deploy using GitHub, migrating SAP on Azure, disaster recovery, monitoring and troubleshooting. So we are also going to take some labs, and also we'll try to, these would be free labs. We'll also try to cover some questions and answers. Now, about the labs, it will be good if you, it is recommended if you, equip yourself with the tools uh, before you proceed for the lab. So what you would need is an Azure subscription, Terraform and GitHub. Terraform is a free downloadable. GitHub is a free account which you can create at any point of time if you're not aware with these. Azure subscription is something which you can get for free, around 12,000 rupees credit. I think you need to provide a credit card for that. But again, all these are freely available, so you don't need to pay for any of these. These tools will help us primarily during the labs, and you might ask, why do I need to learn Terraform and Git? Well, in real world, you would want to use automation to deploy and manage SAP resources in Azure. You don't want to do it manually, right? Because there are a hell lot of configurations involved, and if you do it manually, or if someone does it manually, there is no documentation on what he or she did to make the system work. So when we talk about Terraform, we are talking about infrastructure as code. So I'll try to give some background about it when we reach there. But as you provide an infrastructure in form of an infrastructure as code, you're actually documenting what that infrastructure is all about. So it will help you, or it will help an architect to go back and understand what was the architecture, how the architecture was deployed. It'll help you to do a validation. It'll also help you help your customers, basically, for whom you are doing the deployment, to understand what was deployed in the environment. Again, automation is always a great thing. It will help you deploy things faster, redeploy things faster. And again, Git is going to help you maintain the code which you're going to create for this. Obviously, I am a bit biased towards Terraform. I think Microsoft is as well. I will not like to comment exactly why, but they have a complete automation, repository which they have created around, Terraform. So because Terraform is easy to use, it is very powerful. So yeah, so this, I would assume you have some basic understanding, though not very deep, about Terraform. But don't worry, I'll help you set up the Terraform environment, and you can follow along step by step with me. So let's get cracking. Now let's say why SAP on Azure. Well, SAP and Microsoft have been partners since 25 years. This unique partnership has resulted in them closely integrating and co-innovating. Let's take an example. During the pandemic, Coats, the global thread manufacturer running SAP HANA and Azure, used its agile systems to redirect the resource and work with suppliers to produce PPE. Now, you know why PPE was so important during the pandemic. SAP and Microsoft provided the digital backbone that was essential to keep the supply chain running smoothly. So they combined Microsoft Teams with SAP solutions to give employees the ability to work from anywhere while ensuring the orders are delivered on time to the customers, supporting the frontline workers. That's a great thing. So SAP and Microsoft have deep partnership, and recently Microsoft was awarded the SAP Pinnacle Award as well. They are constantly working towards new offerings around cloud automation and integration of SAP S4 HANA on Microsoft Azure, along with integration of Microsoft Teams with SAP's intelligent suite of solutions. So it's very interesting, and it's a great experience. As per SAP's Insider benchmark as well and report for SAP S4 HANA, Azure remains the primary platform for public cloud environment. So Microsoft is preferred, Azure is preferred by SAP S4 HANA. So these are the very reasons why Microsoft is, SAP is and Microsoft are so, closely related. Now, there are a lot of power companies who, use this co-innovation approach. So here some of the logos which you can see, which use SAP on Azure, right? So you can see how closely they are related and how they are benefiting from that partnership. Now, some of the components, right, of Microsoft, which are really helpful in the SAP world, in the SAP landscape, I would like to highlight them. So first, system. In the systems, you have Data Factory and Data Catalog from Microsoft, which can be used with SAP. Under the data, you have a SQL DB, SQL Data Warehouse, Data Lake, SQL Server, Cosmos DB. For streaming, you have Event Hub and IoT Hub. Security, you have Microsoft Entra, Sentinel, Defender for Cloud. Office apps which integrate well with SAP are Microsoft 365, Word, Excel, Power Apps, Power Automate. Some of the business apps would be Power Platform, Logic Apps, and Dynamics 365. Well, if you need an analytics solution, so Microsoft has a ton of analytics solutions available for SAP. I mean, these can be used anywhere, but yeah, it works well with SAP. It's analysis services, Power BI, you have Azure OpenAI you can use, and you have Databricks, chatbots, and cognitive services. So these are, some of the important integrations which can be done with SAP. This list is not exhaustive, and there are more services which keep getting added on, but it gives you an idea how you can use the power of Azure to make SAP better, simpler, faster, and more productive, along with the Azure native services. Now, next, we will delve deeper into the world of Azure and SAP. We'll say SAP on Azure. And what we understood in this video is we understood the construct of the exam. Since these are set of videos are targeted toward the certification, we understood how SAP and Azure are closely related. We understood what to expect from the set of videos which will come up in the series later on. Well, thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care and happy learning.